Hello, I'm Dave Lee Travis, and welcome to the Top 10 Auto Show. This week we're going to look at the world of people carriers and MPVs to find out what our expert panel consider to be the best multi-purpose vehicles on the UK market over the last year. The Top 10 MPVs of 2001. At number 10 is the Nissan Serena. As you'll know by now, our panel are experts in the motoring field, but of course that doesn't stop you from making up your own mind. On this occasion, they definitely didn't like the Serena, so what's wrong with it? Maybe it's because the Serena's previous life as a commercial van shows through too much. That kind of hinders its chances at being a practical domestic vehicle.
This is, to be perfectly honest, a dog of a car. It's a glorified van, when all's said and done. It's just got a few extra seats, a few little bits and bobs to while away the journey. It's a mid-engine car, so you sit right on top of the engine and get a bit of a massage as you're driving along. It really is that rickety. It's just so much plastic. It's typical Japanese plastic all the way through the cabin.
It seems Nissan have realised the Serena's shortcomings as they're phasing it out this year. Number 10, the Nissan Serena, a good bargain price minibus. At number 9 is an MPV that's bigger than most. It's Hyundai's Trajet. Practicality is where the Trajet scores highest. Even by class standards, its interior space is impressive, supplying plenty of room for both people and luggage. And the driver will find life behind the wheel is not bad either. On the downside, the Trajet is a bit bouncy at speed, and the 2-litre engine is hard work when you're fully loaded, although the V6 isn't bad. And the name perhaps loses something in the translation, but Trajet sounds a bit tragic. In at number 8 is Chrysler's PT Cruiser. With the looks of a hot rod crossed with a London taxicab, the PT Cruiser is the most unconventional MPV in our top 10, joining the VW Beetle and new Mini as one of the must-have cars of the moment. This car is typically American, but underneath its over-the-top looks, a practical vehicle lurks beneath.
The thing about the Cruiser is its versatility. It might appear to be small and compact, but you can easily fit in 5 adults with plenty of headroom. And it has a seating system that can be moved into 25 different positions. Just think of all the fun you can have trying them out. So what about the performance then? Well, you really would expect this car to have something meaty like a V6 tucked under the bonnet. And unfortunately, I've got to report that what you get is a 2-litre 16 valve. So you can forget any ideas that you've got about pretending that you're in a dragster burning people off at the traffic lights. It's never going to happen. In fact, when you first get in it, it does feel a little bit slow at first. But once you're up and running, the engine feels quite punchy. And you can have a jolly good time nipping about some nice country roads like this.
For such a bulky car, it drives rather well. However, the 2-litre engine it shares with the Neon proves to be noisy and a bit coarse. Inside, the trim it shares with the Voyager and Neon ranges is firm and practical, and the pool ball knob on the gear stick enhances the hot rod image. In conclusion, the Cruiser is an eye-catching fun drive which also offers practicality and luxury at a reasonable price. At number 7 is the inspiration for many other MPVs. It's the Renault Scenic. The test of how good a car really is how other manufacturers respond following its release. Using this logic, the designers at Renault must have done something inspirational when dreaming up the Scenic, as within months of being launched, competing designs were appearing on drawing boards everywhere.
The Renault Scenic, of course, is hardly new. It's been around since 2000 and it was the first of the mini MPVs. Since then we've seen Zafira and Multipla and all the rest. The Scenic, though, is still amongst the best, and it's the only one that offers you a four-wheel drive version. Apart from the extra ride height and the 4x4 system, it is still very much a standard Scenic mechanically. We get a choice of engines in the RX4. You can have 105 brake horsepower, 1.9 litre DCI common rail diesel, or this one, which is a 2 litre 140 brake horsepower petrol engine. It's no firecracker, but then it's not pretending to be a sports car, it's pretending to be an off-roader. To drive, it does feel different from a standard Scenic, and that's for two reasons. Number one, well, I'm sitting higher up, and that's a good thing because I do get the commanding driving position that we all like in 4x4s. Secondly, not quite so good. It does feel a bit heavier, a bit more clunky, a bit ponderous. You can feel the extra weight in the drivetrain, the unsprung weight, and that means it's not quite as responsive at the wheel. It's not unpleasant, and I'd say it's probably more road car-like than many a soft roader.
The Scenic's funky interior and ingenious space-saving features have always been its top selling points. Handy storage pockets can be found almost everywhere, and the sliding back seats greatly improve the rear storage space.
You could well accuse this car of trying to be everything bar a forklift truck because it is a mini MPV, a people carrier. It's also trying to be, or saying it is, a bit of an off-roader, and also a bit of a luxury car as well, because this is the Privilege Monaco version, the top spec version, which means we've got everything. Leather, twin electric sunroofs, aircon, a huge list of spec, possibly even a little bit too much. Do we really need all of this? You'll pay £18,900 for the RX4 with either the diesel or the petrol engines. That's a premium of about 1,500 quid over the standard Scenic, but look at it this way, compared to a soft roader with roughly comparable kit, you'll pay about £1,000 less for the RX4. It could all have gone so horribly wrong for the RX4, with the resulting car being nothing more than a jack-of-all-trades, master of none. And all right, people are always going to look at you a bit oddly driving around in something like this, but it makes as much sense as many a soft roader. More than some, in fact, when you consider that what it loses in terms of pure off-road ability, it gains in family-friendly practicality. It's not an off-roader that the military will be putting orders in for, even though they do it in green, but for the rough and tumble of the school run, no worries.
At number 6 is possibly the oddest looking MPV in our top 10, the Fiat Multipla.
Now, Renault started the trend off in the mini MPV market when they introduced the Scenic a few years ago. Since then, everyone else has jumped on the bandwagon. What makes the Multipla different is the fact that it seats 6 people, 6 adults as well, and it's as wacky inside as it is out, as you'll soon see.
Almost everything about this vehicle seems unconventional, none more so than its wacky appearance. The Multipla's odd design makes it look like two separate cars welded together, one on top of the other, or like a mutant frog if it's in green. But the Multipla's wacky appearance belies the fantastic practical and inspired car beneath. With such an unusual looking car, you may find you get a few double takes at the traffic lights, but this is a car with character and inspiration. It's a pity more designers aren't as adventurous as those at Fiat.
Now, when I said it was weird inside, as you can see, I'm not kidding. This centre area looks like somebody had a box of components, threw them all up in the air, and wherever they've landed has been their final resting place. It really is quite odd, including this centre speedo, which takes a bit of getting used to. It's a dash-mounted gear shift, similar to what Fiat did with the Ulysses MPV. I think what will take most getting used to, though, is the fact that you can see 3 people up front. Now, each passenger gets their own 3-point seatbelt, as you can see there, and airbags all round, which cover all of the occupants. But I can't remember any other car that had 3 separate seats up front. The centre seat is moved back a little bit to give the driver a bit more elbow room, although I have to say for 3 adults up front it's a little bit cosy. These side pods look like they ought to detach and you can carry them around as a fashion accessory. I have to say that the quality inside the Multipla is very good. Gone are the days of buying a Fiat and having bits dropping off all over the place. In the rear you get 3 decent sized seats, and because of the width of the car, a reasonable amount of space. It's pretty cosy for 3 adults back there as it is up front. The seating is flexible too and quite easy to remove. There's also the option of having a fridge here in the front instead of this centre seat. Seems a bit extreme, but maybe some people want it.
Thanks to clever designing, Fiat have created a compact MPV capable of carrying up to 6 people in full-size seats, all with 3-point belts.
Now, Fiat claim that the Multipla will carry 6 adults in complete comfort. Will it? Well, we've got 6 here in the car with us right now, and as you can see, it does do, albeit a little bit cosy up front, but I'm not complaining. So does the Multipla actually fit the bill? Well, it's up against some very tough competition in the shape of the Scenic and the Zafira. I guess it depends how many people you want to carry, 5, 6 or 7. If it's 7, then you'd have to go for the Zafira. And I guess it depends as well on how different you want to be. You could buy a yellow car and be different. You could buy a Fiat Multipla and be different. Or maybe a yellow Fiat Multipla. Now that would be different. Let's go.
The Multipla at number 6 in our top 10 of MPVs. Well, that's it for part 1. Stay with us for part 2 when we'll continue our countdown towards the number 1 MPV of 2001. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to the Top 10 Auto Show as we continue our countdown of the top 10 MPVs of 2001. At number 5 is the second MPV from Chrysler in our top 10, the Voyager. The typical US styling of the Voyager doesn't help it integrate into the European market, but recent design changes have gone some way to address this. The latest model of the Voyager offers vast improvements over the old one, especially in areas of safety, specifications and interior quality. But despite the changes, the price has remained mostly static, making even the top-spec Voyagers a big hit among private buyers. Numerous seating options and some ingenious touches make the most of the space available in the cabin. Although, if space is top of your agenda, then go for the Grand version, which is positively cavernous inside. Gadgets on the Voyager include powered doors and tailgate, which open automatically at the touch of a button on the key fob. Perfect for showing off in the supermarket car park, and stops you getting your paws dirty. At number 5 in our top 10, the Chrysler Voyager. Next up at number 4 is the Ford Galaxy. When it was first released, the Galaxy enjoyed being the best-selling vehicle in its class. However, the recent growth of the mini MPV market has started to eat away at the sales of the likes of the full-size Galaxy and its development partners, the VW Charan and the Seat Alhambra.
Clamber on board, and straight away, Ford have very much shunned the kind of fun French flavour you find in a lot of other MPVs, where they carpet the dash and then put the console in the centre. It's very sensible and sober in here. It's wearing a suit. But I would worry, if it were mine, that it might date rather quickly, particularly with this bit of walnut along here, and it's all rather sober and boring. But that is probably a nod from Ford towards the many business buyers for the Galaxy.
But this is a full-size MPV and therefore offers more space than its mini competitors. It is in the area of size and luxury where Ford is directing its marketing of the Galaxy. Although being a full-sized MPV, the Galaxy's drive is almost car-like and gives a comfortable ride whether you're running around town or cruising the motorway. The Ford Galaxy at number 4. At number 3 is the versatile Citroen Picasso. The egg-shaped good value Picasso comes with the versatility and storage space expected in any vehicle in the MPV class. Its boot is the biggest in its class, and if you require even more room, you can always take out the easy-to-remove rear seats, although folding seats would be more convenient. Also in the boot is a useful, if not very sturdy, basket to hold your shopping.
So how does a Citroen drive? Not normally a strong point with people carriers. I'm delighted to say this one there drives very well. Handles just like a car. Its low centre of gravity means it's very good on corners. It is remarkably comfortable. Full marks for driving pleasure.
Safety is high on the agenda with the Picasso. Features include airbags from all directions, anti-lock brakes and 3-point seat belts for all rear passengers. There is a marked absence of anti-theft devices though, so maybe it's worth forking out for extra security, or the only people benefiting from the safety features will be car thieves. The Citroen Picasso at number 3. At number 2 is the Mercedes-Benz A-Class. Now this is a car that would make Doctor Who proud. The A-Class is almost TARDIS-like, making ingenious use of the space available within its small car frame.
There's no doubting the brilliant packaging on the A-Class. It has the space of a Golf or a Focus, but it's smaller than a Ford car. The boot's not huge, there's good room in the rear for passengers, and the seats remove fairly easily. There are also front and side airbags, but all-round build quality is perhaps not what you'd expect on a Mercedes-Benz. I've always really liked the A-Class, and if you're thinking of buying a used one, remember there are lots about, so haggle hard to get a good deal. Too expensive, walk away and go to another dealer. Always look for a car that's got full service history, or you could look out for one of the former fleet or hire cars which might have about 25,000 miles on the clock, but could be snapped up for as little as £8,500.
Base model A-Classes are priced well, but move up the range and you'll notice steep price increases, but that's where you can expect to find the better residual value. Fuel economy and running costs are excellent, however, as too are insurance premiums.
The A-Class is quiet, easy to drive and handles well for what is a tall car. Now, if you're fed up with city driving and don't want a full automatic model, well, you could look out for Mercedes' auto clutch system, which uses a conventional 5-speed gearbox but without the clutch, and it's a system that actually works quite well.
And so, before we find out what cars made it to the top slot, let's run down the top 10 MPVs of 2001 from 10 to 2. At number 10, it started life as a commercial van before becoming an MPV. It's the Nissan Serena. At number 9, it's got a tragic name, the Hyundai Trajet. In at number 8, looks like a London taxicab crossed with an American hot rod, Chrysler's PT Cruiser. At number 7, the MPV that was inspirational for many others, the Renault Scenic. At number 6, the oddest looking car in our top 10, but we still love it, the Fiat Multipla. In at number 5, a typically American-styled MPV, the Chrysler Voyager. At number 4, the full-size Ford Galaxy. At number 3, the versatile Citroen Picasso. And at number 2, the TARDIS-like Mercedes A-Class. And so on to the number 1 MPV of 2001 as voted for by our expert panel. Regular viewers of the Top 10 Auto Show will be used to seeing Vauxhall's offerings languishing at the bottom of the chart, but not this week. The number 1 MPV of 2001 is, of course, the Vauxhall Zafira. It's with its space, or rather the practical way it uses it, that helps put the Zafira at the top spot. There are 3 rows of seats which can carry up to 7 people comfortably. The 2 rear seats conventionally fold flat onto the floor to create a huge load space in the boot area. The middle row of seats can also be folded forward to create something more resembling a cargo bay in the rear. Behind the wheel you'll find a bland but solid looking dash similar to the Astra on which the Zafira is based, but everything you need is there and in the right places. The Zafira lacks some of the fine touches and handy storage features other MPVs have. However, the upright driving position with adjustable seating and steering make for a comfortable and commanding driving position. All models benefit from air conditioning and electric front windows as standard, but basic models do come a bit sparse, and only the top level model gets alarms, which are standard on other makes. Buying a Zafira makes sense in that it comfortably carries up to 7 people at a fraction of the cost of a full-sized MPV, and having those 7 versatile seats keeps second-hand buyers interested, and so residual values remain high. Add to that cheap running costs and insurance premiums, and you can see why the Vauxhall Zafira is our #1 MPV of 2001. Well, that's all for this week, but do tune in next week when we'll be running down the top 10 family cars of 2001. This is DLT saying, see you next week.